Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the 137th Annual General Meeting of the Edinburgh Dog and Cat Home. I'm Doreen Graham, the current chair of the home, and I'm delighted you've been able to join us on what is our second online AGM. Now, I know some of you will have questions, but if you can wait till the end, we've got a whole section just for you, and there will be plenty of time to hear your questions, and we will do our best to answer them. So thank you. So now I'll turn to the agenda. And you'll see that against our names, we have marked who our trustees and our vice chair and our treasurer. So you'll be able to see who actually helps to keep the home in line. And I have apologies from one of our trustees, Julie MacDonald. Now I'm going to turn immediately to the chair's report. So bear with me. I'll get my pages. Thank you very much. So here we go. The writer John Green said, "The darkest nights produce the brightest stars." During the last year, many of us have lived through our own dark nights in terms of dealing with loss, isolation, or anxiety, times when it can be so hard to look up to even see the stars. For me, I was able to appreciate my stars in my life with my husband Archie, who is a real life stargazer, and my own dogs Ted and Charlie. At the Edinburgh Dog and Cat Home, darkness fell when lockdown was announced. The home closed to members of the public, and with many staff on furlough and others working from home, those left caring for the cats and dogs were plunged into an eerie quietness. Lindsay Fyffe-Jardine had been appointed as our new CEO at what could have been the very worst of times. We were faced with the conundrum of the work of the home becoming more needed than ever, yet the situation was putting the home more at risk than ever before. All fundraising events had been cancelled, yet the resilience of the staff shone with online fundraising and, of course, caring for the animals and each other, with the home providing online mental health and wellbeing support. Never before had there been so much creativity, team spirit and drive present. Instead of all our usual public engagement via fundraising and education work, we were able to move to new ways of engaging with our supporters and community using social media and virtual meeting platforms. While we were closed, rehoming had to stop, so we poured our energy into promoting our pet food bank, Paws Pantry. This proved essential to the dogs and cats whose owners were facing hard times and enabled pets to stay with those who loved them. The senior leadership team was ably led by Lindsay Fyffe-Jardine, and they worked hard to develop a sound emergency plan and more recently a recovering plan, and both of these have been supported by the Board of Trustees. The trustees of the home freely give of their expertise and time, and our board meetings continued online with decisions, sometimes very difficult ones, being made, and this was to ensure the long-term future of the home. Peter Proud and Sally Cameron resigned from the board, and my grateful thanks to them for their contributions. David Hancock, Craig Marshall and Emma Barrett joined us as our new trustees, again bringing their own specialist skills to benefit the home. I am really looking forward to actually meeting them in what I hope is the very near future. Collectively, the board and the Edinburgh Dog and Cat Home team have demonstrated their passion for the home, and this has enabled us all to navigate the difficulties of the year. As chair, I would like to say thank you to the home supporters, volunteers, members of staff and the trustees for all you do. You represent the very best of frontline heroes and behind the scenes champions. As the darkness lightens from our COVID world, you are all quite simply our stars. Thank you. Now we're turning to the minutes of last year's annual general meeting, the 136th meeting, which was held on the 24th of July last year. Now, we need to agree that the minutes of last year's meeting are an accurate record of what was said, and I need someone to propose these and another to second them. So Sue is going to propose, and who would like to second? Rosalind is going to second. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, at this point in our agenda, we have the annual report video. Now, unfortunately, we have something very much in common with BBC and Sky and all the other big broadcast is, we've had some technical difficulties. So you're not going to see the video, but you're going to see someone who's equally entertaining and interesting, and that's Lindsay Fyffe-Jardine. So Lindsay, I'm going to hand over to you.
Thank you, Doreen. What an introduction. Definitely not a way I would describe myself, but absolutely fantastic to be able to speak to you all today, and thank you for joining us. We're very, very grateful for the time that you've given to hear about our year last year and the challenges, but also the successes that we have faced and overcome, and have become in many ways been able to say a badge of honour of coming through 2020 and still be able to talk to you here in 2021. It is very important for us to also, acknowledge that the challenge of 2020, it was a year that none of us expected and planned for. Certainly not the year that we as a board of trustees and a senior leadership team in February of last year had expected to be planning for and fighting to get through. But that certainly is how it felt for large parts of last year. There was very difficult decisions to make for the trustees and for the leadership team. But we did that in a very united way. And we came together to decide how could we make sure that we would allow the homes to survive through such a challenging period. As Doreen has mentioned, it was an incredible period though of team spirit and collaboration with some really creative and exciting ways of engaging the community. And trying to make sure that we kept that spirit alive while we weren't able to rehome, which was the first time in its history we've had to close the doors, a very difficult decision for us to make. You will see in the annual report, which is on our website, and it's a fantastic, colourful and fun-filled annual report that does report on huge successes for the years, areas that we have not expected to be as successful as we were worried about at some 1 or 2 points in the summer. But some really fantastic initiatives, a fantastic community engagement and support that came for the home. And really, I think some of that really accumulated in our emergency appeal last year, which was incredibly powerful and moving and demonstrated to the community that the important place that Edinburgh Dog and Cat Home has and should always have as part of Edinburgh and the wider Scotland's support. It has been a year that I would say that we not only just survived, but we also thrived. And by the end of the year, we were very much sitting in a position that was much more positive than we expected to. And very much were future planning. We were working with the team, despite the challenges of what we had to go through with a restructure and the closure of services. We very much turned our attention at the end of the year towards the future of the home, how we could rebuild and open ourselves up to be part of the COVID recovery, which is very much what's happening this year. And I really would urge you to have a read of the annual report. There are some wonderful stories, some of which you will hear about today, but also that there is some really powerful points that have been raised by our staff, by our supporters and the community around us that you'll read in there. And it's some stories that I absolutely love to read, despite the fact that every day I get to hear about them. I speak on behalf of the whole leadership team here while I say thank you to everybody, trustees, to the community and our supporters for the absolute unwavering support, passion and drive that was shown to us throughout 2020. The team, I want to also pay a particularly special tribute to. The leadership team and our staff team were simply outstanding. I did not expect the level of passion and drive to further deepen for the home. I didn't think it was possible to have much more, but we found more. We dug deep. We dug deeper than I thought we'd ever do. And it has been amazing. And to see that really coming back through this year is just so exciting. So please do read the annual report. And of course, if there are any questions following that read from today, please get in touch with anyone at the home and we'd be happy to talk with you about that. So back over to you, Doreen.
Lindsay, thank you very much for that. And again, I'm sorry we didn't have the video, but I think everyone would be very interested to hear how we're faring. And I would actually agree with Lindsay about the teams. They've been phenomenal. And nothing was going to keep them down. They just kept coming up, which was great. Now, I now turn to the annual report and accounts for the year ended 31st December 2020. I now need approval for the annual report and the accounts, and I need someone to propose them and someone to second them. So Craig is going to propose them. I need a seconder. And David is going to second them. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now, the next two items on the agenda are going to be amazing. I'm still looking forward to them. And Lindsay's going to introduce them, but you are really, I think you're going to be wowed. So Lindsay, over to you.
Thank you. I won't be speaking for very long at all, because you will have noticed on the screen that we are joined by special guests to speak about their rehoming experiences. And today we're going to hear about Tink the cat story and Bella the dog story. Now, Tink, she came to us in 2020. She had just had another set of kittens. She was only still a baby practically herself, and it had been a bit of a long road for Tink in those short 2 years that she had had a number of litters of kittens. Her owners had finally decided that it was just too much for them to cope with, and they came to the home with Tink and her babies. Now, you may have heard the story about the beetles, and those babies all became very famous beetles who got amazing homes as well. But of course, it's always the mummy who's left behind, who's waiting for that special home. And Tink, very sweet girl, very special. She finally got neutered so that she would no longer have any more babies and could live her life full and happy and loved. And it was our rehoming manager who got speaking to two very special people who had been in touch with the home, who were really keen to find a cat to add to their life. And I'm very pleased to introduce Eileen and Jack Martin, who are here with us today, who want to tell you a little bit about their experience of rehoming Tink and talk to you about what it's like having her in their lives. So over to you. Well, over to you three. She might be still around. She was on the kitchen table a moment ago.
Yeah, Tink's just disappeared. When you got in touch with us to do this, we were given a few bullet points, and it was just a bit of background about why or how we sort of support the dog and cat home. So when we were looking for a cat, we had had our original cat for 19 years. And then poor Richmond died, and it took us a long time to recover from that. But when we did, because the cat and dog home is so local to us, that's where we decided to go. But over the years, get off my notes, over the years, our families have actually supported the home. We've always done the Christmas, taking food in for the Christmas drive. My mum and I knit blankets for the cat and dog home, so you get them. Although just now, having Tink, I've not done very much knitting, because if I do a bit, I get to a bit of wool that's soaking wet and somebody's chewed it. So that's kind of slowed down a bit. But my mum's still knitting away, and she's 93 now, so she's kept going with that. We had a bit of a rocky road ourselves getting Tink. Tink had a rocky start, but we had a rocky road as well. And I did want to mention this because it's not always a fairy tale ending for everybody. What happened was when we'd lost our cat, we got in touch with the dog and cat home. Pre-COVID, so you could pop in and out in the old days, and see everybody and got to know everybody. And we got a phone call saying, I think we wore you down actually. We got a phone call to say that there was a cat for us. So we went in and we met this little cat, and he was beautiful. He was a lovely looking cat. And so we rehomed him. And unfortunately, through no one's fault, not ourselves, not the staff, it didn't work out between this cat and ourselves, with an animal behaviourist in and everything. So that we had to make the decision to take the cat back to the home. And I can only, sorry, just got a bit upset about the whole thing. Can only say your staff are absolutely wonderful, because when we took the wee one back, we didn't think we would get the chance to rehome again, because we felt really bad about it. And but the first thing they said was, you know, sometimes it doesn't work out, and it's not to stop us to, you know, trying again. So we did wait a while again to come to the decision that we would let another cat. So I'm just drinking my water now, that's good. So we got in touch with the home again, and then we got the phone call about Tink. And with her 4 beetles, and we went in to see her. Now, what happened at that point was we went into the second lockdown, so we only had a couple of visits, but we kind of knew by the first visit that we were going to get on very well. So, but as somebody said when Tink was on screen there, when we first met Tink, she was a wee thin thing, and she's got quite an appetite, and not that she's fat, of course, but she's put on a bit of weight. We got her home 15th of September, so we've had her for 9 months now. We can't believe it. She's a really good cat when she doesn't walk in front of things, you know. And we had all the toys, everything, a really nice cat tree. We've got igloos, we've got beds, blankets, everything. But no, she doesn't, the cat tree, no, doesn't like that at all. So we took it down. But she does sit in the window watching all the birds. She's a complete lap cat, really. She's so affectionate. And as it turns out, the 4 beetles, they've all got new names now, they're the same as her. They're very affectionate and they're really good. So Tink gets out, she goes out to the garden. She's jumped up in the neighbours' windowsills, has a good old nosy in. She's really good. She likes a nice adventure, wanders along the top of the fence and everything. So, and she's also come face to face with another ex-resident of the home called Phoebe, who lives right across the road. And so now we've got Phoebe sitting at the top of our stairs, you know, waiting for Tink. So we don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, you know, but where we stay, we've got a Facebook page for all the cats in the colonies. And it turns out we've also got another rehomed cat, just recently rehomed, called Missy, which she's a lovely cat as well. So there's probably more kicking about, but we've got a right wee community going. It's the same with the rehomed Facebook page. It's such a good idea. And so we know that the beetles, you know, Joey was on last night actually, all the pictures, so we can keep up the kittens, and Tink goes on quite a lot. So that's good to see. And it's always lovely to see all the dogs as well. So the other thing is Tink likes a nice Zoom meeting, as you can see. She's in all our Zoom meetings normally, anything I have. But she always shows her bottom. She's so embarrassing. And I think her expectations of stardom stem from her being in the Dog and Cat Home Christmas video, and on Facebook and on Twitter. So we're very proud of her wee star in the making. So I'd just like to say that I think the work that everybody's put in to give all the animals that you get over the years has been phenomenal. And especially in the last year, I've got to agree with Lindsay and Doreen, what you've said. Everything you're doing, you know, from the food banks for the PAWS pantry, the virtual busking, which was really good, your raffles, your what else have you got? Your dog and cat show. Tink's in that as well, by the way. I just thought I'd better mention her pictures there. And what I'd say to anyone that's thinking of getting a dog or a cat, to make the home their first stop. There's so many cats and dogs, especially just now. that are needing a home, and there's always going to be a special cat or dog just waiting for them. I know you've put in so much hard work helping the animals, especially the ones with more complex behaviours, as we know, and you do your best to match up the people, and truly you matched us up to Tink, and we can't thank you very much. You're all just brilliant, and your dedication is just wonderful, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Eileen. Oh, thank you, Eileen. That was absolutely amazing. And I do love the fact that Tink likes to show her bottom. I think that's a good cat move. My cats like to do the same on most meetings when I'm at home. So I think it's a cat's prerogative to show you her bottom. She's a very beautiful bottom. We always like to think that.
Oh.
She definitely is a beautiful girl. And I can even see on the screen that she has just blossomed into such a happy and healthy cat, from the cat that she was when she first came in, who was timid and a little bit too skinny, to one who is happy and confident and doesn't need to be on screen because she knows that she's loved. I want to really thank you on behalf of all of us, because that was a really moving, very positive, but very moving and also very honest, discussion about the rehoming journey. You mentioned Jai, and the challenges, I know, and the challenges that come with it not always working out. And it's really important people know that just because maybe one dog or cat hasn't been that forever home match doesn't mean that there isn't another dog or cat out there for you. And you've also come back from having lost a cat as well. And there's always that knowledge of there's a little bit more space in your heart for another, even if you think that moment that you just can't quite fit it in. I think Tink's proven that you've got just a bit more left in your heart of love to give, and she's helped bring that in as well. And it's really important that we talk about that honest journey to finding that, because it isn't always easy. Rehoming a dog or a cat takes great commitment and a little bit of trust and patience on both sides, and that's not always an easy journey. But we're very grateful that you kept in touch with us and that you came into us, and we're very grateful that Tink's going to live a life that is so full of love and hope, and that's what she deserves. And it's so good she also gets to see her babies, their updates as well on Facebook.
Yeah, that is great. It's really
lovely. Thank you so much, both of you. Now, it's not just about cats, it's also about dogs, and we love both equally. There's always a bit of a debate in our team, who's more team cat and who's more team dog. But it does tend to balance itself out, because many of our team also have cats and dogs as well at home, or tend to get lulled into the love of when they come into the office and they get one. Nicola had a new member of the team who joined this year, and I think it took her a few weeks before she'd fallen in love with a dog. So I wanted to talk to you next about another special story for a dog who came into us last year called Bella. Now, Bella came to us very timid, very, very anxious, very special case, to be honest, because we had discovered had been running lost for more than a month. She had ran away from a member of the family while out on a walk. Clearly hadn't really been in a very happy situation beforehand. And Wendy, our kennel manager, who I like to affectionately call the animal dog whisperer in our clan, she immediately identified that Bella just needed a little bit more quiet, calm space and a bit more nurturing to bring around again. And Bella's journey really started from there. She started off in a bit of a smaller wing of the home, quieter and a little bit more of that loving care, but she needed someone really special. So our assistant kennel manager, Jess, who works with Wendy, decided, I'll take her home. Take her home, see how she is in my house, see how she settles in. And of course, like it often happens at the home, we like to drag lovingly our friends and our family into what we do and the passion that we have. And it was by chance that when Jess was looking after Bella at home, that her lovely auntie and uncle Pat and Eddie Banks came across Bella. And I think it was a little bit of a moment of magic there, that we discovered that they could cross paths that way. Now, I'm very pleased to say that we have got Eddie Banks with us today, who's going to speak to us a little bit about, again, like Eileen and Jack's experience of rehoming Bella and what it's been like, and to tell us about how she is. Eddie, can I hand over to you to tell us more about Bella?
Yes, you can. Can you hear me?
Very well, thank you.
You can. Okay, fine. First of all, a little bit about Pat and I. I'm very close to my 80s, and Pat's in the low 70s. So we weren't looking for a particularly a young dog. We certainly weren't looking for an energetic, bouncy dog. We were looking for something that would replace a Jack Russell that we lost some 3 years ago, and we're still actually not quite certain that we wanted a dog. But as you've already indicated, we took one little look at this one, and yes, that was love at first sight, I'm afraid. So we had a need, and there was certainly a little dog called Bella that had a need also for someone to to look after her and to start to address some of the problems which she obviously had. By the way, Bella has come upstairs for the first time in her life, so she's a little bit strange at why she's up here, because she's not allowed upstairs. But I'm going to try and get her up so you can actually see it. Bella, come here, come here, come here, come here, come, 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 come. This is Bella. She's believed to be 2 when we got her. We've had her like the cat you've just been told about. We've had her for 9 months. And she is a beautiful looking dog, but quite a strange one. I'm going to put her down because she's it's a bit strange up here for her. The dog and cat home weren't certain what she was. She was a sort of a terrier. So we went and got a DNA done just so that we knew what this lovely little dog was. People thought she was a Kelpie. One of the descriptions was that she was an Alsatian that got shrunk in the wash because she's a very small dog and referred to as a pup. In fact, she's 25% collie, 25% Staffordshire Bull Terrier. She's 12.5% Whippet, 12.5% Retriever, 12.5% 4 other unknown terrier groups. And believe it not, she's only about a foot odd tall. She's also has a grandfather that's a Great Dane. So this is quite a little mixture for a dog. She, when she came to us, did not know about regular feeding. She did not know about where to poo or wee. She did not know about any commands. She did not know about sleeping. She was in quite a sorry state. I'm going to have to just move for a minute. I'm going to have to let her down, I think.
Of course, I think that's the right thing to do.
Go down, go down, go down, go down, go down. She's coming. I'm sorry, she's very, very, as I say, she's never been allowed up here before. So there was a lot of care that had to be done with Bella, and also in the first week, we literally had to sleep downstairs. That's my wife sometimes and myself sometimes, to spend the whole night with her in order that she actually started to get some confidence in us as a pair, and that we were not going to walk away because she has anxiety problems, or had. There was also a fear of big men. I'm 6 foot plus and quite large, so she had a fear of big men, certainly those with hoodies, and anyone that had a stick or anything like that, that would immediately cause her to stop peeing and literally finding somewhere to hide. Quite difficult in the first month to 2 months, but gradually she started to get used to us. An indication of that was that she would not poo or wee in our garden, front or back, for the first 2.5 to 3 months. And it was only when she started to, if you want, do those functions in our garden that we understood that the dog had actually now was starting to accept us as a home. Bella is, as I mentioned, got collie and retriever in her, a very intelligent dog. And as she has got used to us and got used to the fact that we wanted to do certain things as a trained dog, she has got more and more capable of taking training and doing exactly as she is told without any problems. Most of the time. I won't say all of the time, most of the time. Bella now impresses lots of dog owners because I take her, so does my wife, down to a sports field not far away from our home. And she goes through the training routine. So she will lie down like a collie, she will stay there. You can walk away 100 yards or more and just call her or just wave your hand at her and she will then come. So she stays, she moves, she retrieves. She is now, I would say, an excellent dog. Really come on well in the last 9 months, and I'm certain there'll be more improvement. About 5 months ago, I had an operation, one of several I've had recently. And 4 months ago, my wife was diagnosed with lung cancer. And she's had an operation and that's successful, and she's now recovering at home. How does that impact Bella? Well, Bella's been our little stability. Funnily enough, it's reversed the roles. It's not us looking to support her. It's that she has actually been our little rod and she's been supporting us, which has been quite fantastic. She understands that we've not been well, and she responds to that 100%. She's been absolutely fantastic. As mentioned, we have a niece that works at the dog and cat home. So, and Jess has been there a number of years now. So we've been able to support in one way or the other the dog and cat home, and will continue to do so for the fabulous work of which they're all doing. And certainly in the last 2 years, as we've gone through this pandemic, it's been wonderful to see that they've managed to survive through this period, and hopefully are going to get stronger now as we come out of it. What's for the future? Well, Bella's certainly going to be with us for the next 10 or 12 years. She is going to certainly get better. She's already a great dog, and we are looking forward to supporting the Edinburgh Dog and Cat Home in the next few years. And no doubt when the opportunity arises, Bella will come down to pay you all a visit. So on behalf of Pat and I, thank you very much for providing this wonderful companion that we've got that's part of our family. I think one of the things I can say is that you know you've got a good dog when all of your grandchildren are looking to sneak it out of the house and take it home. That's when you know you've got a good dog, and we've got a good dog. So thank you, Edinburgh Dog and Cat Home, and we look forward to supporting you over the next few years.
Oh, Eddie, thank you so much. That was just wonderful and so moving. I mean, it's amazing. I had heard about the doggy DNA and had laughed, you know, to my stomach hurt because of the myriad of background that Bella has, and really, I think that what you've really helped to highlight for everybody here is that it's really a difficult journey to take on a rehoming dog. You know, there's no straightforward line. You have to adjust yourself and make yourself fit around their needs until you find that harmony. And I think, you know, you've indicated some of those things that you saw from Bella and the behaviours you saw that indicated really quite how hard things would have been and must have been for Bella before she came to the home. And that is so often the case of the dogs that come to our doors. We just don't know what's happened, and it's only through love and observation and care and consideration that those observations can be made so that we can adjust ourselves. And I think that's something that you have really brought to life of what you're telling us with Bella, is that you and Pat adjusted yourselves to the point of physically sleeping next to her to help build that trust and to make that love happen. And there's something very special about people who want to rehome and what they'd be willing to do to make it work. And the two of you are absolutely brilliant examples, just as Eileen and Jack are as well. But I think it's also deeply moving to hear about, you know, your personal circumstances being difficult, and we all wish you both very well, and we hope that your recoveries, both of you, continue to be positive. But it is wonderful to hear about Bella giving that back and becoming that stabilizing force for you, because it's a two-way street. You give them love and they give it back, and it's unconditional. And Wendy had said to me in the early days, she's going to make a cracking dog. I just know it. I just know she will. She's got it in her. And she was waiting for the two of you to come along and spot her. And she was just going to wait her time until she finds you two, I think. And I think that just shows you the power of rehoming. Thank you so much. That was wonderful. And I think that we're very moved to hear about both of your stories. I love the fact that finally Tink decided to give a little bit of a side profile, like the top model style of joining us as well. And it was wonderful to see Bella. So I'll hand back over Doreen to introduce the next section. Might be me again, though, I'm afraid.
Can I just thank Eileen, Jack and Tink and Pat, Eddie and Bella. I think you're a shining example of, you've given so much to the animals, but also we're seeing how much they're giving to you too. There's this wonderful commitment really from both parties. And I've always thought, I've been involved with animal welfare for a long part of my life. And I always think rehoming is a bit like a dating agency. And sometimes the right partner just isn't there at that time. And then suddenly they are. And it's such a strong relationship. So it's been lovely to hear your stories, and thank you very much for that. It's really heartening, and good luck to you all. So thank you very much. That really is wonderful. So I'm now going to move on to the next part of the agenda, which is the re-election of Chair, Vice Chair and Treasurer. And I'm going to start in reverse order, and I'd like to ask someone to propose and another to second Craig Marshall as our Treasurer. I've got two hands. Sue's going to propose and Rosalind's going to second. So thank you for that. I now need someone to propose and another to second Sue Staley as our Vice Chair. So Catherine to propose, Emma to second. Oh, sorry, Murray, I missed, you weren't fast enough. And finally, I need someone to propose me as Chair and someone else to second that decision. Murray is going to propose me and a seconder. Catherine's going to second me. Thank you very much. Thank you for that. Now, the next item on the agenda is to tender for our auditors. Now, in line with...
Doreen, I'll interrupt. We need to cover off Paul's pantry as well.
Oh, right. Oh, sorry about that. My apologies. Please. Yes, cover Paul's pantry. My apologies for that.
I just thought it would be good to also talk about something that we have mentioned in a number of the areas of the updates already, but really wanted to talk about what became a very large, I'm sad to say, a large success in 2020 for us, but a really important component of our outreach for those who were struggling to keep their dogs or cats with them. Now, to give a little bit of background on Paul's Pantry, it was officially launched in 2019, and it was launched after years of, in all honesty, me listening to the difficulty that the team were having in trying to support dogs and cats to stay in loving homes. We had heartbreaking phone calls, often on a daily basis, of people who were making a difficult choice between feeding themselves and feeding their dogs and cats. And we know the sacrifice that they were making to be able to make that work. Now, we were for many years unofficially doing that support, giving that support, providing food, trying to help people get from one paycheck to another and provide that stability. However, it was an ability for us, and to turn that officially into Paul's Pantry in 2019 was a really powerful thing. That wasn't just food, it was about bowls, blankets, leads, collars, the things that cost a lot of money when having a pet, when you really are struggling. I'm sad to say, we went from a very busy food bank uptake in 2019 to 140% increase on that into 2020. The demand went to beyond a level that we found quite distressing at times. It was expected because of the challenges that were out there in the community. But for those who were on furlough, those who were losing jobs, those who were already in a very difficult set of circumstances before the crisis, that was further deepened and further made more challenging for them. What we decided to do is, while we were having to close our doors for rehoming, we did retain our ability to take dogs and cats in that needed to be rehomed. We did that 7 days a week. We also retained the ability to keep the food bank open 7 days a week. And it was something that I'm really proud that we did, and that we retained those essential services, because it was something that was being used. we were actively keeping dogs and cats in those loving homes. We wanted to keep them, and that was a part of something we could do, a small part. Now, the food bank has grown and developed since then in this year, but we're obviously talking about the evolution of this, and the start of this in 2020 was a bit of a game changer for how we could start to partner to reach people further afield in the boundaries and the walls of the home. Our walls are only one part of what the organisation is about. It's about our community, our supporters, the people who are out there. And really what we wanted to do was to not just have people being supported, but to stop them having to come to us in the first place. How could we do this? How could we reach out beyond the walls of us and the boundaries of our mission at the home site? And it was in that situation that we began to develop partnerships. Now, I would like to hand over to one of our great partners, Eleen. We've got Keith Redburn, who's here going to speak about Eileen's work with Paws Pantry and tell us a little bit about positive impacts that the support from our community has enabled Eleen to be able to deliver into the communities across the border. So Keith, can I get you to talk a little bit about that work with us, please?
Yeah, of course. And thank you everyone for the opportunity to come speak. Lindsay and her team, it's been great to hear the stories of your contributors, Eileen and Jack with Tink, and Eddie and Pat with Bella as well. So I work for Eildon Housing, Housing Association in Selkirk and Scottish Borders. So in April 2020, Eildon decided to create the Food Hub with support from Scottish Borders Council and the Edinburgh homelessness charity Serenians. So the Serenians act as a sort of fair share franchise for Central and South East Scotland. And together with the Food Hub, we've been delivering sort of much needed food and supplies all around the Scottish borders in response to COVID. So the Edinburgh dog and cat home's been absolutely fantastic to that. Sort of recently come on board around about December 2020 with me, Kirsten and Lisa. Much needed pet food around the borders. So it's been a fantastic experience, but it's also been a bit of a strange experience because as the demand grows, we do sort of realise that's an effect of COVID and people in furlough and potentially people under pressure to make ends meet. So it's been quite a busy and interesting time, but also quite a rewarding time. So groups that we deal with in the borders tend to be quite small and quite distributed. It's obviously quite a rural community, quite a proud, quite a close-knit community, and obviously it's for folk to make use of food banks and community larders. There's also a bit of sensitivity, just to be as respectful as possible who are needing to use that sort of support. So since being able to distribute sort of pet food, also along with pet food, it's been we've been able to help distribute blankets, toys from the groups that we help support here. That members of the public who previously wouldn't have considered coming in to make use of the service. As soon as they found out pet food was there, suddenly their dog wanted to come in for a treat or come in for a biscuit. And that was then part of their weekly routine, that they couldn't go past the village hall or the larder without the dog coming in for a biscuit. And whilst they were there, they would then get their food for the week as well. So it's been kind of a two-way street, and they'd also pick up their dog food and pet food for themselves, and good food for themselves as well. So I've actually just recently received a letter from one of the groups that we support in Reston. So I'll just explain their situation. As I say, Eildon helped distribute out groups. So we aren't necessarily dealing with the public directly, but hopefully this sort of goes to explain. So this is from a group in Berwickshire. So the cat and dog food's been a huge success at the Reston larder. There are many animals in their local area, and like their owners, they were not always being able to access food, especially during lockdown periods, and especially because of lack of transport into the town. Lockdown has eased. There's many people who have been left unemployed or in reduced hours or reduced wages. They've been unable to provide enough food, not only for themselves, but for their pets as well. I feel that by providing pet food, we've enabled people to keep their pets at home, reduce the likelihood of being abandoned. Also mean people be getting food for themselves, food for their families, and food for their pets. So I think that's just goes some way to explain how well received the ability for folk to be able to pick up pet food as well. I don't know, Lindsay, is there anything else you want?
No, that was absolutely fantastic, Keith. Thank you so much thank you for bringing that to life. I think it's really important for us to talk about the fact that there is that huge network that we're building, and Eildon's been a great foundation part of that partnership. So thank you to you, the team, and a lot of the local people. I think that's a very important part to this, is the food bank is led and driven by local people who want to do good things. And I think that's something that we've seen as a society, that food banks are on the increase, and a lot of them are driven by people who are very much trying to support their local neighbours, their local people around them, to stop the continual downwards trend of a lot of people's living standards and situation. I think that it really highlights, though, from what Keith is saying, is that pet poverty is a growing issue. It's something that is exacerbated by COVID, but it was already a problem before COVID. So anything that was pre-existing has already been exacerbated further and made more challenging. And it's really a part for the home to be able to play, that we can stop dogs and cats coming to us. You don't need to come to us. If a dog or cat is better off being in a loving home that is just going through a difficult period at that point. Now, for many of us, you will remember those moments in the last 18 months, 2 years, that you've had a difficult moment. It's been a difficult day, and perhaps your dog or your cat, through the height of lockdown and that moment of difficulty, has been there for you in maybe a way that a person or people in your life haven't been able to. Our dogs and cats have. They've been a representation of something that has allowed us to have comfort and joy and love when it's been, as Doreen talked about, quite dark at times over the last 18 months, and particularly at points in 2020 that felt very scary. If you can imagine the absolute horror of realizing you can no longer feed that dog or cat anymore, you've got nothing left you can give them. You've been sharing and sacrificing to a point that it's affecting you, and you have to come to the likes of ourselves and get that support. Walking away from that dog or that cat, knowing that they're being well looked after, that they are being cared for to the absolute best of the ability of the dog and cat home, is something. But it's an indignity to have to walk away and go back to an empty home, go back to something that you are grieving and you are losing, because you are no longer able to look after dog or cat, not because of what you chose to do, but because of the circumstances you're in. We don't want to see that happen. We want to work with partners like Eildon to make it possible to not have that loss, that further grief, that further isolation continue to happen to people, because we know dogs and cats add and contribute to our lives. They bring love and joy and companionship in a way that many people need. And we know that isolation and loneliness has become worse for people. Dogs and cats play a part in that. They support our mental health. They make us better people. And I think that hearing the stories from Eileen and Jack and Pat and Eddie today just shows that really they bring love and joy. And it's important for us to help people who are wanting to keep them in their lives. An important part of that is it allows us to then help dogs and cats that really do need us and need to be out of difficult situations. And so I think it's really important for us to talk about this, and we will have more and more to share about what the home is doing to help support and tackle these challenges. So thank you very much, Keith. You've really helped bring that to life, and thank you for your continued partnership with the Dog and Cat Home.
Now, I can't emphasize enough as well just how well received. As soon as we initially we did sort of think, oh, we wonder how popular the need for the pet food, treats and toys would be. So from running sort of a very small van up to Seafield Road, we're now going up pretty regularly with a large transit, and it's just been fantastic. And as you say in the borders, especially during the lockdown periods, people's pet is their it's probably their companion, their best friend, and it's also potentially their reason for being out in their community and still holding on to sort of a precious sort of normality as well. So absolutely fantastic support from the home, and it's been massively well received from all the groups that we deal with. So thank you so much to you guys.
Thank you, Keith. That was absolutely wonderful. I'll hand back over to Doreen for the last part of the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Keith. That was really inspiring, and I think our lives are inextricably linked with the pets in our lives, and I think for someone to feel that there's no place to turn to help them support that member of their family, I think between Eildon and the home, it's one of many partnerships, and it's just brilliant, and it's very good to hear. I love this image of the wee dogs coming for their biscuit from the van. I really like that. But thank you very much. So next, we're going to just discuss the tendering for auditors. In line with good governance, I'd like a show of hands to show approval for tendering for the Home's auditors for 2021. I think everybody has shown their hands, so thank you very much for that. Thank you. Next item is any other competent business, and really for everyone that's actually has logged on to the meeting today, this is your chance to ask anything you like, and we'll do our best to answer. So if you have any questions, please let us have them.
Doreen, I'm just keeping an eye on the question box, but just for everyone who's tuned in, if you want to ask a question, just type it into the Q&A box down the bottom, and I'll read out any that pop up. There's none at the moment.
Well, we'll give it a few more seconds, and perhaps everyone feels that we've given them lots and lots of information today, which I believe we have. It's been a year full of challenges, and it would have been easy to have just been ground down by these, but that's not the way of the people at the home. It was just like they roared, and it was like it wasn't going to happen. So many good things have happened, and we've got some very good people there, and that's a huge strength, absolutely massive strength. And I know from my part, I'm really proud of my association with the home. I'm just going to
highlight, thank you, Doreen, and just highlight for everybody who's also listening that the annual report can be found on the website, the digital copy, and would really encourage you to go and read that. So of course, if there are not questions at this point right now, that's absolutely great. Nicola's indicating there's not a problem. What we can do is you'll of course be able to get in touch with the home, make any inquiries that you wish to, and then a member of the leadership team or the management team will be very happy to speak to you about anything that you'd like to know further. So please do get in touch after today, but also thank you for tuning in. So I'll hand back off to Doreen to finish off and close the meeting.
Thank you. Absolutely no questions, Nicola. Nothing? No, right. Well, it's left to me now to actually close our meeting. So I'd like to thank you all for attending the 137th Annual General Meeting of the Edinburgh Dog and Cat Home, and for your passion and for your support. Stay safe, and may we all meet again next year. Thank you. Bye-bye.